Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. This right here, as you should all know by now, is the podcast where we dive into the deep, dark, murky waters with a plethora of legendary guests. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, the numero uno scumbag, Rex Ruger. That is Rex with 3 X's. That's right, R-E-X-X. You might also know me as a.k.a. the King of Sleaze, a.k.a. the Hair Metal High Priest, and most importantly, a.k.a. Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. Just spoke to my lawyers a little while ago. DNA testing almost where we want it, and it will prove conclusively, once and for all, folks, dispel all the myth that you are looking at. The son of glam, the front man for the band. Just smoked a few grams. I got a million fans. I'm your ice cream man, Mr. Wop, Bop, Loo, Bop, Wop, Bam, Bam, Shazam, hot damn. Whew. I am feeling good. Everybody in the house, including you all out there, are looking good. That is, of course, made possible by, whoa, I got them collapsing on me over here. I got so much of this stuff. I bought stock in it. Because when you want to quaff like Roth and your responsibility to your public is to look this damn good, well, then you need to get the product that does just that for you. Coming to you as always from the lush lavender lounge of love, where it all goes down, and joined as always by the Keith Hernandez puppet. You know him as number 17 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts, New York Met great, World Series champion, 1986. I was just a 13-year-old young lad, but I remember it fondly. Keith, always be indebted for the memories. This is, of course, the No Frills podcast. You get no frills because we don't know how to deliver you frills, but we can give you thrills. And you're looking at them, this face. So you're welcome. And today we got ourselves, lo and behold, another great guest. And I'm excited, but I'm always excited. It's my job on here to be exuberant and full of joy. And hopefully be able to have another great conversation and deliver the goods once again, as only I can. And speaking of delivering the goods, I'm still looking for players for Love Sword. That's my band, my passion project, and I'm looking for virtuosos. So if that's you and you want to be the backing band behind the man, the second greatest front man to ever do it, hit me up. But my guest is here, so I digress. Let's get down to it and chop it up with them on Pod Scum. Let's go. There he is. How's it going?
How are you, man?
I'm really good, man. I'm really good. THADEUS GONZALEZ. Before I get into the actual interview here, you are, of course, singer, songwriter, musician, but on your website, one thing that I find particularly interesting is this dive bar touring. Have you scoured all the best dive bars in the world, do you think?
No, I think there's plenty. The dive bars that they're unknown, those are the good ones. And
those are the good ones. Okay.
I think so, yeah. I think so.
And is that really the best way? Is that really the best way nowadays for somebody to make their bones, though? Is that what you got to do? I mean, obviously, I talk to a lot of guys that are musicians on here. Obviously, the road is where it's at right now, though. But, you know, how much of a grind really is it doing what you do, though? Obviously, you love the music, but, I mean, are you looking to, like, you know, for it to pay off? And in what way does it pay off?
I mean, I think that it's a good question. I think that I just want to put music out and, you know, record. And I think the only way to get the music out is if I'm out playing. I think that social media and all those things are fine and dandy, but if I can't go and see you and shake your hand or push you over on stage or something, then it's not, I'm not going to have a connection with you. I just won't, you know, no matter how vibrant a video is or how cool a video is, till I can see you very intimately in a small club, I'm not going to dig you. I just won't.
Right.
It'll take a while.
But as somebody in your position, though, like what would be the big payoff for you, though? You're putting out this music, you're touring all over the place, but you know, obviously the music industry, and I've talked about this, you know, ad nauseum on here. You know, it's obviously changed so much. You know, like how does somebody take that next step? Is it just being out there on the road and just hoping people notice what you do? Is it getting onto a big tour? Is it writing a fantastic song?
I think that of course I want to go as far as I can.
Sure.
So all those things are going to help. All those things are going to help because I started playing music when I was in 7th grade, you know, a lot on stage. That's what I was doing in my rehearsing and then playing on stage at middle school. So it's like, this is not going anywhere. So the more accolades I can get from it right now or in the future, it's going to help me, I don't know, put a roof over my head. You know,
yeah. Well, it's not an easy business anymore, though, because the formula is not as simple as it used to be. Like where a record label snatched you up and threw a lot of money and backed you up and put you on primetime tours and got your album out there a lot. It's very difficult nowadays, I imagine.
Yeah, it's totally different. And everybody can put out music now, so it's not as special. Anybody can put out music, and everyone can be excited about your music, whether or not you've been doing it for X amount of years or X amount of days. You can still put out music, and so I still like what I'm doing. So I hold on to that, and that's enough. You know, that's enough for me. But of course, everybody wants more. You know.
Now, I'm assuming, you know, people who will see this that do know the kind of style of music that you play, which certainly I can hear a lot of rock and blues and soul in there. But today you're repping a Napalm Death hat and repping it well, I might add. Is extreme metal something that you're really into?
Extreme metal. The thing about, this hat in particular, you're on the East Coast. I was on tour and I'd never been to the Bowery Ballroom.
Okay.
I had a night off and Napalm Death was playing at the Bowery Ballroom and I went to go see them and I just thought it was fantastic. And I bought this hat. So I've kind of always, I really hold this hat and I've had it for about 2 years. And I try not to screw around with it because I really like it.
Yeah,
it's like the one hat I wear.
Yeah,
but other than that, like a band like Satyricon, there's specific bands in extreme metal that I'll endure or like really enjoy.
Yeah,
but there's not a lot of it's like there's like 2 bands in every genre that I pull from.
Yeah,
whether country or pop or whatever the fuck it is. But there's always there's a few that really I relate to. You know,
So what was your upbringing like? How early on did you know that music was going to be a career path for you? Did you have aspirations of doing anything else?
No. I think I remember Def Leppard, White Lightning.
Yeah.
I remember, and I thought that was rad. And, you know, the Seattle grunge scenes. I think the late '80s and Motley Crue and all that stuff sort of. I really enjoyed. All that stuff means something more to me now than it did then. You know, then you get Slayer and all these things I really liked. And now if I hear someone like, I don't know, Britney Fox or some ridiculous band, I'll be like, oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah.
Even though I know at the time, I was like, this is ridiculous. You know, this isn't Smells Like Teen Spirit or whatever.
Well, I think the knock on a lot of the 80s, and I know they probably hate being called hair metal or glam bands or whatever, but a lot of it back then really seemed like it was like style over substance. And then you look back at it now and you realize there was a lot of great fucking music there, though, when you really dig into it, you know? I mean, I think image was a big part of it, obviously, back then. I mean.
Right. And pop was they're essentially now knowing how I write and knowing that their pop songs are just great pop songs.
Right.
With some hard guitar, you know, and that's killer. That's cool.
So you bring up your writing. What is a creative process typically for you? Are you somebody that gets spurs of creativity throughout the day? Do you have a specific routine, a room in the house you go to, an ambiance you got to set? Like you approach it like a job and sit down and write, or could it just hit you at any point in time?
I play it all the time, so I write all the time. But that doesn't. And I think when I really evaluate when I'm writing, it's like, would I go in the studio with this or would I not? And if I don't think I've recorded, then it's just another song that I have. It's not nothing, but I'm constantly writing, constantly. Yeah. And I get a lot of kick. And I think talking about dive bars and kind of my biography, I get a kick still out of playing my piano or playing my guitar just by myself. Like that's almost enough.
Yeah.
That's almost enough, you know, but the next level is super fun. But man, just playing by myself it's just enough. It's still a great thing. It's people saying you're rad and all that stuff. It's like, whatever. It's like, it's cool.
And as somebody that's such a road dog like you are and out there hitting it so hard, what was the period like during COVID when it first hit and everything was really locked down? How did that affect you personally? Did you write more? You know, were you more creatively inspired? You know, did it bum you out? I mean, obviously, you know, you're out there making your bones. You know, this is a big part of what you do, and now it's kind of snatched away from you.
You know, I had 7 showcases at South by Southwest in Austin. Yeah. 7. It was like a lot. It was like we had a bunch of shows, and I was in rehearsals in Los Angeles on March 12th, and Saturday, March 13th. All of a sudden, they just started canceling. My band members went back to Seattle, LA. I came back to the Bay Area, and I was in the middle of recording an album, of a double album, and I put one of those albums out in 2021. And we snuck into the studio. Tim Narducci, my producer, he and I finished up the album, got with a new record label, and then put that out in the summer of 2021. So basically, I just snuck into the studio and finished recording an album. So it was like, it wasn't that big of a difference. In fact, I got a kick out of my friend and I, who I live with. We got a kick out of just like, COVID was fun, you know. It was, You know, it was a lot of TV and a lot of weird shit going on. It was fun. So, well,
for me, I work in the healthcare industry as a nurse, so not so fun on my end. But you know, I mean, I was deemed an essential worker, obviously at that point in time. So off the work, I'm still going. You know, what I mean, right in the thick of it. You know, what I mean, right in the danger zone, so to speak. So, I mean, not so much fun, but. Right. I would have liked it to have been fun.
Yeah, well, no, I'm sorry to be more accurate. I did what I was supposed to do, which was stay home. I did everything else. I did what I was supposed to do, which was stay home, and I just made the best of it. Snuck out and got the album recorded. So.
What more could you do? I mean, it sucked, but I mean, you know, it was kind of like it was like the world just went on a big time out for a little while. You know, it was like very strange times. So I'm glad you brought up the album 2021. Opposite Faces. That's the last album that you put out, correct?
Yes.
Now, when you sit down to write an album. You know, and I just talked about the industry. Obviously, a lot of people are putting out singles, trying to keep their name out there and keep their name relevant. Obviously, people aren't listening to music the same way anymore. Attention spans have kind of dwindled down a little bit. People really want to see your best shit, or they're moving on to the next thing. It seems like anyway. So when you're sitting down and writing this album, do you conscientiously think, do I want to go singles? Do I want to go EP? Do I want to put everything into a full-length album? Is this something that you think about in terms of the release format?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think a lot of people don't. Well, I don't know. I think rock bands still want to put out albums just because
they do.
It feels solid and it feels good, like you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
I want like my next album that comes, which is almost done being finished up. It's an album. You know, it just is what it's an album, you know. And a lot of bands like the new Metallica, just to talk about in the new Metallica album, which I'm a Metallica fan. They put out 4 singles off the album.
Yeah.
Before anything even came out. And so I'll probably go along the lines of that, you know, put out some songs on the album. So yeah.
And what about, like, you know, how much do you micromanage it? Do you even micromanage it into, because and you bring up Metallica really reminds me of those days when, you know, they would put like 7-8 minute songs on an album, and people really put an album on and they listened to it from start to finish, and they didn't skip around and pick and choose and everything. Now I've got down here Opposite Faces was 10 songs, 41 minutes. Do you even micromanage it down to the amount of minutes, or do you just kind of just let the chips fall where they may? Because that seems like, as somebody that's not a musician, that seems like the right number to me. I don't know, 10 songs in 41 minutes. That sounds about right. I mean, you know, I don't know that people are sitting down and listening to an 80-minute album anymore, like Metallica used to put out back in the days. Or, you know, it'd be nice if they did. I'm 50 years old. I'm old school. I still like to sit down and listen to an album, you know, from start to finish. But
right. I really wanted Opposite Faces to be. It's a really hard left, right?
Yeah.
How you want to say it from my previous works, and that was a main thing for me. There's really short. There's like his spoken word song. There's a bunch of. It's kind of an odd album. So I think, as far as timing, it just worked out to be, I think, the right amount of time. About a 45-minute album is about enough for me.
Yeah.
That's what you know.
So when you think back to when you got bit by the music bug, who were those first earliest influences? Do you remember the first music that you heard that really resonated with you and kind of made you feel like, wow, I'm excited about this. This is something I want to do. Like this, like this really just hits me a certain way.
I remember Depeche Mode on MTV.
Yeah. MTV out there, for the kids that don't know, used to actually play videos.
Yeah. And Dawkins, I'm a massive Dawkins fan.
Yeah.
And, now it's like for some reason I was really young when I got in them, but they're still going, and they have these bands still going that when I was young I enjoyed. It's just awesome. I didn't pick a one-hit wonder that had one. These bands are still going. It's awesome.
It's pretty remarkable. I'm actually going in August to see Def Leppard and Motley Crue, and there's still it's a nice nostalgic night because you go and everybody sings, and I think that's the great thing about music. It almost is its own time machine. Whereas, and it takes you back to that moment in time. You feel 15 again. Good music, I think, has the ability to to do that for you. So I'm interested, and I love what you did on the album. But I want to know why, in particular, you choose In Excess to cover. One of my favorite bands of all fucking time. I love those fucking guys, man. And I'm usually a rock and metal guy, but I mean, In Excess was always just a very interesting band to me. Whereas, I feel like they were really in the door early on with a very alternative sound, but yet they could get people out onto a dance floor and make them dance. Michael Hutchence, one of the greatest frontmen of all time. But what was it about that song, particularly for you?
I watched that documentary on Michael Hutchence. I don't know if you saw that. And I felt a lot of empathy for how much shit he was going through.
Yeah.
And I don't know I think maybe because I thought I could change that song and make it less, because I do it pretty differently than what they do.
Yes.
And I thought that I could do something different with that song. And I also just that documentary made me really feel for the guy. Like he kind of got a bad rap for being just a regular frontman. He's just a rock singer. But, I thought I could make it different. That's why I did it. The slide guitar, it's different. So. And
now, were you a fan of them?
Not really. No. I don't know about a fan. I knew I think I heard their music in the 90s, sort of roughly. But I don't think I was a fan. And now, forgive me for not knowing this, but are you on a label right now, or are you completely do it yourself? I was on Rebel Waves, but I think they might not be. I'm not sure what's going on with them right now. But I haven't approached them with my new music, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
So what do you do now? And because the landscape has changed so much, when you have this album, done and in the can, what I mean? Like, what is the move nowadays, like for a musician in your particular situation to do? Do you shop this to labels? Do you put it out on your own dime? I mean, like, how does it work for somebody that's for people out there that might be wanting to be aspiring musicians? I mean, where do they go with these days?
I think right now I'm going to get a really nice EPK with my new music, which the album is called Street Fights Are Starting to Hurt. That's the new album. Okay. And I'll get an EPK and I'll send it to my last record label and see that was a one album deal. See if they're interested in that. And if not, we'll send it to some other places. But I think right now, me putting out on my own is just as significant and just as important, even with or without a record label. I mean, really, it's just got to go out. It's got to go out, and there's got to be some press behind it, which either falls on the label or is going to fall on me. But either way, it has to happen. That's part of the game. It's making people aware. So
is part of what you do, being out there and touring and getting on the road and everything. If you landed on a big tour, how does that happen? Do you have to be on the same label as somebody? Is it dumb luck? Like, let's say, somebody wanted an opening act and you got plucked up by some band. How does that happen? How does a musician get themselves onto a big tour? Does a big band have to see you and like what you do, or because I've even heard stuff even up to and including bands, still paying to get onto good bills.
Right. Yeah, I think there's that avenue. And then there's just dumb luck, like you said. I think with enough press and enough presence and being out on the road, hopefully enough people will say, hey, this guy's pretty good. And then they would introduce to a booking agent that has a band that would be compatible to go on the road with. But I think it is dumb luck and then really working at it. I think you got to hit the road. You got to have your music out and be at least putting out good music.
Yeah.
I think good music's a big deal.
Yeah. In your travels out there, have you brushed up against any other big famous musicians? Have you yourself ever been starstruck, so to speak?
I haven't been starstruck, but I ran into Mr. T at a grocery store, and that was pretty hard. That was pretty awesome. He didn't call
you a fool, did he? Pity the fool? No,
he did not call me. He was super nice and he just got back from a workout, and he said him and Mrs. T were gonna take it easy for the rest of the day. That's what he said. So him and Mrs. T.
And so you're gonna confirm right now there is a Mrs. T.
There's a Mrs. T. Yeah,
There's a Mrs.
that's a
T.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a thing. So on the average, about how much time are you out on the road? Like, are you ever home? Because it really makes it sound like, man, you are really like a road dog. Do you love that part of your life almost more than just being complacent and at home? Or like, are you somebody like, I know Henry Rollins has talked a lot about, after this Black Flag years or whatever, he just goes on those spoken word tours that he does, and he just likes to be out of Los Angeles. He just likes to pack a bag and just go. Are you somebody that likes that kind of lifestyle?
I do. Yeah, I really like it. But COVID sort of made it it's been a little more difficult. So I'm getting back into the swing of it. For someone at my level, it's been a bit of a struggle. I was out on the road pretty hard for about 3 years before COVID, and then now it's sort of like I'm just sort of getting back to it. Yeah, just getting back to it.
So you prefer to be out on the road then?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And when you're out doing this kind of dive bar touring and stuff, like, I mean, you don't have like great accommodations like a bus or anything, right? Like you're actually out there, like, I mean, like, how are you propelling yourself like from place to place? I mean, are you really out there doing it like old school?
Yeah, I'm old school. Yeah. I've got a van. I've got a 350, 15-person passenger van, the Rhino. It's my Rhino. It's gray and black. And I sleep in, and then I'm with the band, and we have sometimes we get hotels, and we make the best of it. It's pretty awesome. It's good.
Are you compared to a lot of people? Have you yourself heard your music or what you do compared to anybody? And like, what comparisons, have you heard about yourself? And do you see those comparisons at all? I watched some of your videos and I couldn't quite put a finger on it. There was one video like where I thought, wow, this is really heavy, very heavy music, but I just couldn't find like a solo artist that I could compare you to. Which to me, what you do is very unique. I believe the sound that you have is very, it seems to encompass a lot of different styles. But have you yourself heard yourself compared to somebody?
I have, but I appreciate you saying that, because I think that I try to draw from as much, because I'm a rock guy, but I try to draw from as much as I can, different influences. But I mean, I heard on my second album, Silver Inside, I heard people talk about there was like a really heavy Foo Fighters.
Okay.
And I just I'm not a Foo Fighter person, Dave Grohl, but so in my Opposite Faces, I really went for a hard left. I went for a whole different sound. Yeah. And even on my next album, it's a different sound. And I really like people like David Bowie and people like PJ Harvey and these artists who just did different albums. I like that, but I want to stay in the rock genre, which is it's a little harder because you can't keep going back to the same well and drinking from it, because I'm going to give you something different to drink from. And that's an issue. That's an issue, but it is what it is. Is
that something that you worry about as an artist, getting that blowback from fans? Because we've seen it throughout the course of history, in music, a band changes or tweaks their sound a little bit and they're either completely shit on for doing it, whereas if people want the same album all the time or whatever, or they're putting out that same album and then people are saying, these guys never do anything different. You know what I mean? Do you, as an artist, you sit around and think about the fans' reaction at all? It's probably not healthy, but I mean.
No, I don't think it's healthy, but I don't know, that you know, the band The Strokes came out with that first album like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And the second album, Room on Fire, which was almost the same album.
Yeah.
But if it's just not as good. It's a great album.
Yeah.
And I don't hate on them for it. I just and as far as if you don't like my stuff, people won't listen to it.
Right.
It's that simple. And if you like it, you'll like it. It's just what, like, I'm working with new guys right now on a different project, and it's very singer-songwriter, and I just played a show, and it was, you know, it's the same stuff. It's still me. It's just different. It's just different. But it's still Thaddeus. So,
well, and like when I say that, you know, you get a lot of people who, oh my God, Metallica, you know, getting back to Metallica, oh, they sold out once the Black Album came along. Suddenly they were writing ballads, and, you know, it just seems like people just want Master of Puppets regurgitated over and over and over again. You know, they go do something with Lou Reed, and it's polarizing, and people don't like it. You know what I mean? I just don't know it, like, as an artist, like, sometimes, you know what I mean? Because you're obviously putting out music first and foremost for yourself, but you do take into consideration, like, what your fans want as well, I would imagine.
No, not really.
It's kind of a slippery slope, it seems like, you know?
No, I mean, I just think that I want to play what I want to hear.
Yes.
I don't want to play what people want to hear. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
It's like I want what I hear to be out, and what people want to hear, if they like it or don't, that doesn't matter. And it hasn't changed anything. People still seem to either are into it or they're not. And the way I'm not stopping. So,
you know, what about the band that backs you up now? Now you elect to use your name, like not like a THADEUS GONZALEZ and the, you know, like a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers type situation. Is that deliberate? I mean, you know, you're obviously putting yourself there on the bill, but, you know, will there ever come a point in time like where it'll be THADEUS GONZALEZ and the, you know what I mean? And who are these guys that are your backing band?
I would go sing with a band.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change what I'm doing, because I write the songs, and then I try to get the best players to play on these songs that will make my songs better. That's all that is. I think that, you know, I've had musicians I played with for a long time, and I've had musicians that I met through other musicians, and whoever's available to go on the road, who's ever available to do studio time. It's pretty, and I want to think of that. People think that I'm easy to work with, and that's a bigger deal, I think. Yeah. I was talking to some dude, and he was like, personalities are way easier to work with than talent. You know, I want a nice guy instead of some guy who's like super rad. we don't need that. I don't need any of that. Nobody wants that stuff. Most of my touring friends or recording friends, you don't want to work with jerks. So it's like, I try to stay in that realm of just having fun. It's a lot easier.
That's why right there, you hit something on the head. That's why I do my podcast, and my sidekick is a puppet. Much easier to work with. Much easier to work with. You know what I mean? If only you could get a band full of puppets, but they could play instruments. That would be, I mean, that'd be utopia. I mean, what would be better than that? But so the itinerary, you go on the road a lot. Are you able to find a lot of like-minded musicians? Because obviously people have a lot of dynamics going on in their personal lives. You know, an old lady, you know, kids, a job they just can't leave behind. Do you find that grueling itinerary that you like to keep to that schedule? Is it hard to find musicians to come trekking out with you on the road?
No, it's not. No, because I have enough contacts now of people who want to go out. So I know enough. I know a few drummers, a few guitar players, a few bass players, and most of them are lifers, and they're into, this is what they do. So they're into it. And I give enough time so they know when they're going out and when they cannot be free for this or that tape. So.
Is there any musician out there, and I guess it doesn't even have to be like, still, well, yeah, I guess alive would probably be good, but alive or dead, is there one person that you've ever really like emulated and said, wow, you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of career, you know, I would like mine to kind of shape up into that. Is there anybody out there now doing music right now that you look at and think, you know, yeah, that's somebody doing it right there. That's somebody who, I don't want to say emulate, where, you know, you're obviously an adult doing your own thing or whatever, but is there anybody out there that you really dig like what they're doing and say, they got something good going here?
Well, PJ Harvey. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've messed with. Yeah, PJ Harvey. I think she's always done. From my experience of getting into her in the late '90s, all of her albums have been different, and then she kind of keeps her personal life out. It's not in the mainstream or whatever. She just puts albums out on tours, and I admire that. And I admire that she everything is different. I just think it's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing. So.
Is it easier, do you think? Obviously I know you're out on the road and you do have musicians, but ultimately at the end of the day, you would call yourself a solo artist. Is it easier being a solo artist than being like a member in an actual band? You know what I mean? Like you were just a guitar player. Do you think that's easier in today's musical landscape to be a solo artist?
I think that's, in an odd way, social media for a band is, and maybe it's not odd, but social media for a band is probably easier because you have more people reaching out from the same social media thing or whatever, where solo artist is it's just me.
Right.
And I don't have as many like people reaching through to reach out to new people. So maybe you get a band that's got 5 people. Those 5 people are reaching out to people, and it's a little broader.
Right.
It's just me doing this. Maybe that's it, but social media is whatever. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. So
what's the one thing right now that could be inserted into your life right now that would ensure Thaddeus Gonzalez world fucking domination? How do we get there? I mean, what do we got to do, man? Who do we got to reach out to get you on a tour? Who do we want to give a shout out to right now to take you out? PJ Harvey?
Oh, I don't think PJ Harvey take me out, but oh shit.
How do we fucking take over, Thaddeus? I want to be part of the takeover. I'm buying in, buddy. I'm in. I'm in.
I've got to get my new music out. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
I got a couple great songs. It's a great album, but I've got a couple real strong songs on it, and I just think this is. And I've got a different mixer on this album. I'm really proud of this album, this new one. Yeah. I'm excited to go take it on the road. So
is it going to be in the same vein as Opposite Faces? And I know you said you like to tweak the sound a little bit. What will fans see as the big difference in Opposite Faces?
This
heavier,
album,
mellower.
It's more it's just more songs and less weird stuff. It's not as weird, and all the songs are a little more coherent. It's a more coherent album.
Yeah,
where Opposite Faces has a lot of odd stuff going on in it, which I appreciate.
You ever think sometimes when you're writing these albums, and I've asked other artists this before, and again, this is probably just my own asinine way of thinking. Hopefully you don't do this, but I mean, I don't know if this eats some artists, but when you sit down and write an album, and as I said before, people's attention span being so different it just seems like such a fast-paced world right now. And it's not, certainly not for a lack of music. There's certainly a lot of music. And as you said earlier, anybody can sit home and make music now. They don't even need to be proficient in an instrument. But do you ever think when you're sitting there and you're writing 10, 12 songs to put on an album that the album will be picked apart and 2 or 3 songs will stand out, and maybe some of your deeper tracks that you worked very hard on, just won't get the recognition that they deserve? Or can you not think that way at all?
Well, that would be like, I think if you're writing enough that hopefully you're letting go of what your expectations are. I let go of my expectations of my less songs. I do videos for specific reasons. I ask other people what 3 videos or singles would I have from this album. So it's very specific so that they would be more accepted in the mainstream, like Ripe and Death of a Good Hustle, and like my newer stuff. A song like Getting in the Wrong Fight, which is on Opposite Faces, I really like.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean everybody's gonna like it. It might be my favorite song on the album, but it's a little weird. It sounds like Roger Waters or something. So it's a little weird.
Yeah.
That I don't think anybody should like it. I think it's more like, it's a little weird. And if you do like it, that's rad. But I put out videos for specific songs for a more mainstream.
That's not exactly a rousing endorsement, Thaddeus. I don't know why anybody would like this song, but I mean,
it's a different song. It's a different song.
But I love the fact. But I love the fact that you do videos. And as we mentioned earlier, MTV did used to play videos. It was a powerful. It was a powerful format back in the day. And I see people are still doing it on YouTube and doing it very well. Well, you know, what do you consider? You know, the format of video. You know, what do you consider that it does, you know, for album sales?
I think, shit, I don't know if it really contributes to album sales, but it contributes to people being aware of what you're doing, that you're not messing around. Like, yeah, I think that that's a big deal. I think to be taken seriously, you have to put the work in and putting your product out. Yeah. I think videos are awesome. I just think, yeah, and sometimes, like we were just talking, a song on an album might not be as well as what a great song it is, but the idea of the video might be even better. So that's why I want to do it. That's the art of a video, is making a cool video. I love all my videos and I love the concepts, and they're very specific. And I have to find a director to help me do them. It's always like they have to fall through with what I see. And Mike Slow, a guy I work with, is awesome.
Now, is that another part of the creative process that you're very hands-on with as far as the concepts of these videos?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Every video has started with me thinking, we're going to do this. And then I have to tell somebody to help me do it. How do we do it?
So essentially, you're almost directing these things in some way.
In a way, yeah. I just come up with all the ideas, and then I have to have someone else make it happen.
Right. Yeah. And so this new album, you anticipate a release date for it soon?
Maybe this fall. This fall, but with some singles out before then.
Okay. Yeah. And then what would be the big plan after it's out? It just the business as usual, hitting the road?
Hitting the road, and hopefully a good amount of PR. Yeah. A good amount of people putting their ear holes in and listening to it. Yeah.
I feel like hitting the road for as much as you tour, it's more like you hitting home, right? You're on. It seems like you're on the road a lot more.
Yeah, well, it was like that, and COVID's a little weird. It's gotten a lot better, but I think that is how it should be. If you're a person at my level, you should be out on the road hitting it.
Yeah,
or just don't do it.
Yeah. And you are out in the Oakland, California area?
Yes.
And what's the music scene like in the particular area that you're in? I mean, do you get to play a lot of local showcases? I mean, is there a lot of, I mean, obviously the Los Angeles, the Sunset Strip, all very legendary scenes out there, the Bay Area thrash scene. But in your particular area, how's the music scene?
It's pretty good. I don't play locally very frequently. I did just play a few weeks ago, and that was very rare because I like to be on the road. Yeah. So yeah, and there's clubs opening up. A lot of clubs closed, but there's a lot of clubs that are opening up, and there's bands playing all the time right now.
Yeah, so, that's good. That's good. Rock and roll is alive and doing well. So if Thaddeus Gonzalez hits the upstate New York area, do I got to have the guest bedroom ready?
You do. Yeah, you do.
I should. And just how many people are we talking about accommodating here? I mean, are we bringing the whole band, or can those guys just go fend for themselves?
No, you're bringing the whole band, and
I got to put them all. I got to put them all.
I only tour with a guitar player, a drummer, and a bass player, so it's pretty simple.
And would these guys be opposed to it? Because my wife kind of has carte blanche over the decorating scheme in the guest bedroom. So you are not opposed to sleeping on strawberry shortcake bedding, correct?
No, absolutely not. No,
not at all. Okay,
I've slept in strawberry shortcake bedding.
That's a bold claim right there to make. I'll tell you that. I'm going to put that in as the exclusive for this interview, that you've slept on strawberry shortcake bedding. That's a better road story than anything I think you could tell. I mean,
see.
Listen, man, I really appreciate you coming on here, man, and I wish you all the best, man. And I full disclosure, I have not been into you for a super, super long time, but I am so glad sometimes that, and I've gone along with technology kicking and screaming. I'm still an old school albums guy, physical product, but it seems like the platforms, you kind of got to play ball with them. But the nice thing is that when you search up music that you like, I like when it gives you suggestions or kind of follows your algorithm, which is how I came to find you. And
awesome.
I absolutely love what I hear, man. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I wish you all the best, man. And yeah, I mean, come say hi to us in upstate New York. Don't forget about us over here on this coast.
Okay. Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, dude.
Yeah, it was really nice talking to you, Thaddeus. Thanks so much, buddy.
Have a great day.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you. Later. There he goes, folks. That is Thaddeus Gonzalez. You might not know who he is, but I predict that you will. Singer, songwriter, musician, road dog. Let's not forget that. The man is out on the road, coming soon to a dive bar near you if you're lucky. Go check out his stuff, though, man. I haven't been plugged in for all that long myself, man, but I'm telling you, man, just good, hard biting rock and roll. What more can I say? The formula is simple, people. You know what I mean? If you're putting out great songs, and he does write great songs, also did a killer cover of the In Excess song Never Tear Us Apart, which I would strongly recommend. Really put his own stamp on that song. And they are a band that I absolutely love. So I listened to that one, you know, a little like, let's see what he did. Let's see what he did to these guys' song here. But stamp of approval, man. I mean, just did a great job, made it his own, stayed true to the song. But that is Thaddeus Gonzalez. His last album was 2021's Opposite Faces. Go check it out. It is a damn good one. And just want to remind you guys, sorry there, had a little glitch in my own, had a little, as Pink Floyd would call it, a little momentary lapse of reason there for a minute, but I'm back now. So just want to remind you guys, again, go check out Thaddeus Gonzalez, show him some love, show him some support. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode as much as I did. And remember, until we get together and do this again, remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy.